Earlier this month, a new documentary titled Stand that examines the life of basketball star and social justice activist Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was released on Showtime. And today, I have the privilege of talking to the executive producer of the doc, who's also an amazing journalist. Her name is Sarah Allen, and she joins me now. Sarah, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, Sarah, as a fellow journalist, you know that when it comes to storytelling, inspiration always helps to telling a good story. So what sparked you and your team to want to tell the story of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and share it with the world?
Well, when I first met Mahmoud, I just felt that he had not really had his story told properly in the media, and he had somewhat of a distrust for journalists and media professionals. And so after I got to know him, I just really wanted to get behind him and try to put his story out in a way that would make him feel good about the people working around him, and all of us that worked on that team with him. We just cared so much about him personally and about getting the narrative out that he always wanted to have out for the last 25 years.
He got that narrative out for sure with the documentary Stand on Showtime. And Abdul-Rauf, Sarah, he was a controversial figure in the mid-90s because of his initial refusal to stand for the Star-Spangled Banner prior to NBA games. Do you think that this documentary, which goes deep into his life, will change how people may have viewed him during his playing days?
Oh, absolutely. We've been seeing a lot of responses on Twitter and social media where people are saying that they had no idea that this was really what happened to him. This is his story. And you can see that people are responding to the NBA's reaction to his protest in the 90s. You can see that people are also responding to just who he was as a player. And so definitely, I think having told this story 20 plus years later, people are really starting to resonate with who he is and who he was.
Yeah, and that's part of the beauty of the film and people being able to do that. And I think some people are going to connect Abdul-Rauf's experience with former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick because both men had peaceful protests connected to the national anthem. Are the stories of these two players actually similar? And what impact do you think both have had on how sports fans view athlete protests at sporting events?
Well, they're similar in that they both protested the playing of the national anthem during sporting events. I would say that their two journeys are definitely very different because Mahmoud did not have the support of a social justice movement like the Black Lives Matter movement that Kaepernick has been a part of. And basically, Mahmoud was on an island by himself because he didn't have the support of social media the way that Kaepernick did. And at the end of the day, when Mahmoud was blackballed from the NBA, he didn't recover financially the way that Kaepernick has been able to do with his endorsements and his other platforms that he works on now. So I just think it's important that people understand that Mahmoud really did suffer in silence for a long time until he was able to come out of that.
Yeah, definitely differences between the two men and how they were impacted following their protests. And Sarah, in watching the doc myself, I got the sense that Abdul-Rauf has a sense of peace with everything that has happened in his life. What's the sense that you get of where he is mentally? And is he at peace with being able to tell his story the way it was in this documentary?
Definitely. I think that he has said himself that he would not change one thing about what he did back then. He still feels strongly that he shouldn't have to stand for the national anthem during sporting events. And clearly, in the way that we interviewed him, he was at peace in those moments. He was working through some of his issues that you'll see he deals with in the film in terms of his background and having to figure out where he came from. But having brought him through that journey, and now he's touring the country and doing lots of speaking engagements, I think he thoroughly enjoys telling his story from his own perspective and is happy to see that it's on a big platform like Showtime.
Well, you did an amazing job. I want to say for people who have not seen the documentary, Sarah did a fantastic job with Stand. If you do not know the story of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, you have not seen, you have known about it, I encourage you to check it out and see that the great work that Sarah did on this. That is Sarah Allen. She is executive producer of Stand that is on Showtime now. Sarah, so good to connect with you. Thank you for the time and talking about the documentary, and I look forward to much more of your upcoming work.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.